Welcome back to Jay Creates. Welcome back to another video in the 2x4, 2x6, 2x10 series. Today we're coming at you with another 2x4 project. We're going to do a couple of quick and easy propagation stations. So a propagation station is people who just grow plants or gardeners or whoever. I don't really even know. I know we propagate plants at home, and my other half, you're just clipping the plant that's growing out of control. You're sticking it in water and it's going to grow some roots, and then you plant it into another planter. Hence, you've propagated another plant. I guess maybe I'll put the description of propagation up on the screen for you because I'm not a professional. I just wanted to make a couple of quick and easy propagation stations so we can use them at home and create another 2x4 video for you here on the interwebs. Anyway, so I got a couple of different styles here. I just took a 2x4. Now these are like rustic, right? Because they're 2x4s, they got some imperfections. I drilled holes in it. So these holes are 3/4 inch. These test tubes are just a little under 3/4 inch, so they fit in there nice and snug. Not too snug, but not too loose. You can do 3, you can do 1, you can do long ones and make 10 of them. Doesn't really matter. This is just a flat 2x4. I rounded all the edges with sandpaper. And then I took a 2x4 and stood it up on the side. Drilled 3 holes on this one as well. Went down a little bit further. And then I used the table saw and just put an angle. I think it was a 35 degree angle cut at the top. Make it look nice. And then I threw on some wood stain. I think we used red mahogany 225 from Minwax. So in today's video, we're going to make a couple of these, and we're going to get it done right now. All right, so the 2 that I've already made, this one is 7 inches long, this one is 6 inches. So I made this one at 7 just because it is standing up this way and not laying flat down, just to make it a little bit longer, to give it a little bit more stability. And then the 30 degree angle on the top, I'm just going to take that 30 degree right off of this really beat up portion here. So I'm going to cut this piece at 7, and then we'll cut a second one at 6. And then we're going to measure out where we're going to drill the holes. So first things first, I'm going to head over to the miter saw. I'm going to cut my 2 pieces at 7 and 6 inches, and then we'll come back and measure out some holes. And we'll mark this one out 6 inches. I'm going to come from the other end. First I'm going to square it off because this is the factory end. Take that stamp off there. Alright, so we have our 6 inch and our 7 inch now. The 7 inch, like I said, is going to be the standing up one. So we're going to go ahead and figure out where all our holes are going to be drilled. We'll get those marked out on both the 7 inch and the 6 inch. And then we'll go over to the drill press. Actually, we'll probably bring the drill press over here because it is on the table and there's not really a lot of room. So let me get these marked out. We want these to be in the center down the line here. But we're not going to worry about this, because we're going to take that angle and cut that off. So we're going to take our measurements from the relatively flat side here. So this is 2x4, which is 1.5 inches. So we're going to come 3/4 of an inch, kind of mark that, which will be the middle. And then we're just going to try to take that line all the way across, all the way down, and mark it out. So now that I got the center figured out, and I want to leave an inch on each end, so I made a mark at 6 inches and a mark at 1 inch, and we're just going to square that off, and we're going to leave an inch on either end that's not going to be drilled. Alright, so I have 6, 7, 6. I got 5 inches in the middle here to play with. I'm going to come over 1 more inch, and that's going to be where my first one is. 1 more inch from the other end. And then in the middle of that, I'm going to go 1.5 inches, and that'll put me with 1 right in the middle. So now when you look at it, we got our center line, and then our markings where we want to drill, and where those 2 lines meet, that's going to be the center of the board. I'm going to take a scratch awl. You can take a punch and just get that hole started for the drill press. Okay, so for our 6-inch board, I'm going to come over 1.5 inches. That's where I want the first hole to be. And they're going to come 1.5 inches from the other side for another hole. So that'll leave me 1, 2, 3 inches. So 1.5 put me right in the center of those 2. And that's where we're going to drill our holes for the flat one. So now we got these marked out. We got the holes kind of punched and started. I'm going to get the drill press out, and we'll get these things drilled. Alright, so again, we are in the shop with no dust collection. This could get a little bit messy, which is part of the fun, right? Anyway, I got this set for the flat block to go down 1 1/8 inch into the block, and that'll give the tubes enough stability when they're sitting in there to not topple over. So once we get these 3 holes drilled out, we're going to set the depth gauge again for, I'm going to have to measure it to see what the depth is on those, but that might be, I think it's about 2 inches, but then we're going to cut it off so it's not really 2 inches deep. Anyway, let's get these holes drilled, and then we'll just get started on the other one. And for those of you with a drill press, specifically this Ryobi drill press, have you noticed that your depth gauge, nuts or bolts or whatever it is there, move? I can do this and watch it, and they just vibrate and move a little bit. So that's why I'm double checking after I drill the hole. I bring it back down and make sure the nuts are set, and then I do the next one. All right, got those 3 holes drilled. Like so. Now we're going to get the table saw out. We're going to put the 30-degree angle on here, and then the rest of it is just going to be sanding and staining. So I'm just going to run this piece through. I already got the fence set from yesterday and the 30-degree angle from yesterday. So we just raised the blade and we're going to send it through. And that's all there is to that. So we just took a little bit of the top off. So now we have our angled piece. And we're still at a good depth for the tubes themselves. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some sanding. I'm not going to do like 400 grit or anything. I think I just did 180. Not going to bore you with all the sanding, but we'll show you a little bit of it. And then we'll move on to staining. Alright, so to put the stain on, like I said, we're just gonna wipe it on with the cloth. We'll let it sit on there for a few minutes, and then we'll wipe it off to, because this stain, you're not supposed to just put it on and leave it on. Put it on, leave it for a few minutes, and kind of buff it out, and then just let it dry overnight, and it should be fine. So in the end, once you get these stained and dry, you can go ahead and you can use a lacquer or a shellac and just put a clear coat on it for an added layer of protection. It's probably what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it in this video, but that is something you can do. And you don't have to put anything on it. You could leave it just as a plain 2x4. You can put a plain 2x4 with shellac on it, paint it, stain it, do whatever you want to it. Today we're going to stain it with the special walnut. Alright, so I just got the wood stain here. I'm just using a lint-free cloth or lint-free rag. Dip it in. We're just going to let it soak right in there. Make sure you go up and down against the grain, with the grain. Circle it. Can't say the word. Circles. Just so it gets in all the little nooks and crannies. And for inside the holes, I just put a little point on it. Just shove it in there, turn it. I mean, the tubes are going to be in there anyway, so you don't really have to make it totally matching. You're not really going to see the insides, but you got to get at least the top half of the inside done. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let's cue the music. We'll speed this up a little bit. We'll come back with the final product. Alright, so they both got the stain on them. I'm going to let them sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. Just enough to let it soak in a little bit. And then we're going to come back and we're going to buff that out. Now that these have been sitting for about 10 minutes, give or take a couple minutes here and there, I'm going to go ahead and just start buffing these out. So this stain, the special walnut, is a little bit lighter than the other one. So all you do when you're buffing this out, you're just rubbing it down. You just keep going until you're not getting a lot of stain off on the rag. See how it's all coming off, but it's leaving it. So as you see, as I'm rubbing this down, all the imperfections of the wood, you know, with the rough live edge looking face, the little pieces that are chunks that are missing out of it, it just adds to the rustic nature of the end product. So I'm going to continue buffing this out. I'm going to hit the other one, let them dry for a little bit, and then we'll wrap up this video. So don't go anywhere. Alright, so that's it. This is the second video in my new series of 2x projects. 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, 2x10, whatever it is, as long as it's a 2x something from the big box store. Just to show that you can make cool things out of big box store wood and pine and the cheap stuff. Alright? These are coming back as rustic, right? Because 2x4s, 2x8s, 2x6s, all that, they have imperfections in the wood from the manufacturing process. It adds to the rustic look when you get them stained up, painted up, and put together. This is pretty simple project. You just needed to cut some stuff, mark some lines, and drill some holes. Finish it off with a coat of stain, paint, or just a clear coat, or just don't do anything to it. So these are the two we did today. 6 inches here with 3 tubes. 7 inches here with 3 tubes. The extra inch just for stability because it is, you know, a smaller base. Same thing I did yesterday. Different color stain. This is like a red mahogany. And this one actually has a coat of spray lacquer on it. Can't really tell too much difference in it. This one may be a little bit shinier. Got your 3/4 inch hole, your 4.5 inch tubes, and you're good to go. So, as I said, this is the second video in the series of building with 2x4s, 2x6s, and whatever. I have some projects from this past fall pumpkins and whatnot that I made out of 2x material. I'm going to add those to this playlist as well, and I'm going to put a link to that playlist right here at the end of the video. Make sure you check that out. Go down below, check the link in the description for the items that I used here and the tools that I used today, and also hit that like button, that subscribe button. Come back around and catch me on the next one. Thank you.